Hi Ella and Alfie, back to your favourite book again. Favourite first stories. It's going to be Goldilocks and 3 Bears. Once upon a time there was a family of 3 bears who lived in a cosy little cottage in the middle of a big wood. There was a great big daddy bear, there was a middle-sized mummy bear, and there was a tiny wee baby bear. One morning, Mummy Bear filled 3 bowls with porridge for the bears' breakfast, but it was much too hot to eat. We'll go for a walk in the wood while it cools, said Daddy Bear, and the 3 bears went out of the cottage and closed the door behind them. Here's a bowl of porridge on the table. Just then along came a naughty little girl called Goldilocks, who was walking through the wood all by herself. Goldilocks went up to the cottage and peeped in at a window. When she saw that there was no one at home, she opened the door and looked in. On the table were the bowls of porridge. First she tried Daddy Bear's porridge. Too hot, she said. Then she tried Mummy Bear's porridge. Too cold, she said. Then she tried Baby Bear's porridge. Just right, she said, and she ate it all up. Here we go. Goldilocks was so full of porridge she felt very sleepy. First she tried sitting in Daddy Bear's chair. Too hard, she said. She climbed down and then tried sitting in Mummy Bear's chair. Too soft, she said. Then she tried sitting in Baby Bear's chair. Just right, she said, and started to go to sleep. But suddenly there was a loud crack and a bang. Goldilocks screamed and tumbled onto the floor with a bump. She was so heavy she had broken Baby Bear's chair into little pieces. Oh dear. Goldilocks was cross. She got up and looked in the bedroom. There were 3 beds. First she tried lying on Daddy Bear's bed. Too high, she said. Then she tried lying on Mummy Bear's bed. Too low, she said. Then she tried lying on Baby Bear's bed. Just right, she said. She pulled up the bedclothes, snuggled down and yawned twice. She was soon fast asleep. Okay. And she did not hear the 3 bears come back from their walk in the wood and open the door of their cottage. The bears were hungry and wanted their breakfast. Daddy Bear looked at his bowl. Who's been eating my porridge? He said in his great big voice. Mummy Bear looked at her bowl. Who's been eating my porridge? She said in her middle-sized voice. Baby Bear looked at his bowl. Who's been eating my porridge? He said in his teeny white wee voice. And they've eaten it all up, and he began to cry. Never mind, said Mummy Bear, we'll soon make you some more. Daddy Bear was very angry. Someone has been in her cottage, he growled, and searched all around the room. Then he stopped and looked at his chair. Who's been sitting in my chair? He said in his great big voice. Mummy Bear looked at her chair. Who's been sitting in my chair? She said in her middle-sized voice. Baby Bear ran to his chair, tears streaming down his face. Who's been sitting in my chair? He said in his tiny wee voice. and they've broken it all up. The three bears went into the bedroom. Daddy Bear looked at his bed. "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" he said in his great big voice. Mummy Bear looked at her bed. "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" she said in her middle-sized voice. Baby Bear ran to his bed and looked at it. "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" he said in his teeny wee voice. "And look, she's still in it." Oh! Goldilocks woke up with a terrible fright, and when she opened her eyes, she saw the three bears standing round the bed, staring at her. She screamed and jumped out of bed. She climbed out of the window and ran home through the wood to her mother as fast as she could. The three bears never ever saw Goldilocks again, and Goldilocks never ever went walking in the wood on her own again. Here we go. The end. Okay. Bye-bye.